Perovskite is being hailed as the savior material of the solar industry, thin, flexible, silicon-free, and having just set a record efficiency of 33.56%. But if you've ever followed real-world solar projects, you know this well-energy history is full of technologies that were perfect in the laboratory and then disappeared in the real world. So will Perovskite be a rare exception, or simply the next name on that list fertly? Why is the industry so desperate to replace silicon? Because crystalline silicon is reaching its physical ceiling. We are fighting for fractions of a percent at massive costs. Perovskite was supposed to be the answer, but it has a lethal flaw: lead. Most high-efficiency perovskite cells rely on lead halides. Imagine covering millions of acres of farmland with solar panels that, if cracked by hail or a hurricane, could leak neurotoxic lead into the groundwater. As engineers, we ask, is it truly green if it creates a hazardous waste crisis at the end of its 20-year life cycle? This is where Kesterite changes the game. It uses elements we find in everyday plumbing and galvanized buckets. No lead, no cadmium, no toxic nightmare. Why are we still chasing a poisonous solution when the ingredients for a clean one are sitting in a hardware store? 33.56%, the number that shook the lab. For a long time, Kesterite was dismissed as the low-efficiency cousin of thin-film solar. In 2023, record efficiencies were stuck at a measly 12 to 13%. Critics said it was too disordered to ever compete with silicon or perovskite. They were wrong. In early 2025, a landmark study published in Nature by researchers at Kafr el-Sheikh University used advanced computational modeling to optimize the Kesterite stack. By fine-tuning the band gap to 1.5 electron volts, the absolute sweet spot for capturing the sun's high-energy photons, they simulated a cell reaching 33.56% efficiency. To put that into perspective, the theoretical maximum for a single-junction solar cell, the Shockley Queisser limit, is 33.7%. Kesterite isn't just good enough, it is mathematically capable of reaching the near-perfect limit of physics. While silicon is gasping for air at 26%, Kesterite is proving it has the headroom to dominate the next century. Why efficiency doesn't matter if it dies in the rain. In the lab, perovskite is a king. In the field, it's a coward. Perovskite crystals are notoriously sensitive to moisture, hydrophilic, oxygen, and heat. The moment a perovskite cell is exposed to the real world, its efficiency begins to tank. Even the best encapsulation techniques struggle to keep them alive for the 25-year lifespan required by utility companies. Kesterite, however, is a tank. It thrives in the Death Valley conditions where perovskite fails. Field tests in southern Spain showed CZTS cells surviving months of direct, unshaded Mediterranean sun with zero performance degradation. As an engineer, I care about levelized cost of energy. If your panel is 30% efficient but dies in 3 years, your energy cost is astronomical. If Kesterite is 20% efficient but lasts 30 years without leaking poison, it wins every single time. Why are we prioritizing lab records over field reality? If Kesterite is so stable and theoretically perfect, why hasn't it taken over? Here is the dirt on Kesterite cation disorder. Because copper and zinc atoms are almost identical in size and charge, they like to swap places in the crystal lattice. In the engineering world, we call this anti-site defects. These misplaced atoms create deep traps that snatch up electrons before they can become electricity. This is why real-world Kesterite has lagged behind its theoretical potential. But the breakthrough of late 2025 changed everything. Researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences realized they could police these atoms. By adding trace amounts of silver and germanium, they forced the copper and zinc atoms into their correct seats. This precision engineering pushed certified efficiency to 14.3% using a cadmium-free buffer layer. This isn't just a marginal gain, it's a proof of concept that we can solve the disorder problem. The final nail in the coffin for current solar tech might be the cost of the factory itself. Silicon requires massive, energy-hungry furnaces. Modern thin film often requires vacuum chambers and plasma sputtering. Extremely expensive clean room tech. Kesterite is shifting toward doctor blading, a manufacturing leap that redefines solar economics. Imagine a high-speed press wiping a liquid ink of copper, zinc, and tin onto glass or plastic with surgical precision. This method is 10 times cheaper than vacuum deposition and 5 times faster, drastically lowering the barrier to entry. Crucially, Kesterite's energy payback period is less than half that of silicon. By replacing billion-dollar cleanrooms with high-speed printing, we are moving from manufacturing semiconductors to printing energy. Why build massive, toxic factories when we can print stable, lid-free power as easily as a newspaper by using solution-based processing? We move from manufacturing semiconductors to printing energy. Does it make sense to continue building multi-billion-dollar vacuum facilities when we could be printing solar panels like newspapers? In the solar industry, 20% is the magic number. Once a material hits 20% efficiency in the lab with stability, it becomes bankable. Qingbo Meng, one of the world's leading CZTS researchers, predicted in late 2025 that Kesterite will cross the 20% threshold within the next 5 years. We are currently at 14.3% and climbing faster than any other material in history. Let's be real. Perovskite will likely hit the market first in tandem cells layered on top of silicon. But as the environmental regulations on lead tighten and the cost of silver continues to rise, the industry will be forced to look for a sustainable alternative. We have been conditioned to believe that high-tech must mean complex and rare. We think we need exotic materials to save the planet, but the engineering reality suggests otherwise. Kesterite is a breakthrough because it is honest. It doesn't hide behind toxic lead. It doesn't rely on the silver market. It doesn't dissolve in the rain. It is a material that matches the scale of our ambition with the abundance of our resources. The question isn't whether Kesterite can beat Perovskite. The question is, why are we still entertaining the idea of a green future built on lead and scarcity? The simulation says 33.56% is possible. The field tests say it's durable. The factories say it's cheap. The era of toxic solar is ending. The era of Kesterite is just beginning.